everyone. Thanks for coming back to the Stretch Cafe. I like that you spend your coffee breaks here with me. I'm Peggy Boyer, and today we're going to focus on what we sit on the most. So obviously, when we're sitting at our desks, we're on our bums, and we sometimes can get something called, if you've ever heard of this, numb butt, dead butt. We're going to address that today. So we're also, because we sit on our butts so much, we're going to stretch out our hip flexors too, okay? So this is gonna be a really delicious set of stretches. So what I'd like you to do is stay seated, okay? Just sit in a really great position, and what that's gonna look like is your shoulders are above your hips, you're sitting up nice and tall. If you need to scooch back into your chair a little bit more, you can. But I wanna make sure that my feet are planted on the floor and I've got a 90-degree angle in my knees. So my knees and feet are at hip width apart, and then my feet are underneath my knees, okay? So let's start with that nice cleansing stretch first, now that you're in a great position, and we'll just breathe in, hold it at the top for a couple seconds, and breathe out. It's just a great way to start our stretch. Now stay seated, because here's where the fun begins. I'm not gonna say you wanna do this on a Zoom call necessarily, but it's such a small little movement and it's squeezing. You probably can't even tell I'm doing it, but you squeeze your glutes while you're sitting on them. Just squeeze it. I'm using my hands to show you that I'm squeezing, but this isn't how we're gonna go. We're gonna go faster. It's gonna be double time, so here we go. See a little bit more movement here, and we're gonna do this for 30 seconds. Can't talk as much, I feel like I want to talk in staccato while I'm squeezing. I'm going to attribute this move to Tammy Lee Webb. If you know of her from the early 90s, she was a fitness guru. This is where I got this move from, but it happens that it also helps fight the glute fatigue that we get. So we got 30 seconds here. So if you're not feeling it, you can add on some time if you want. I'm already feeling it. You're not watching me, are you? Better be doing this too, right? Okay, we're just about done here. Just keep squeezing at double time. I know this seems odd, but it's effective. I promise you, it's just a small little movement that's so simple to do for 30 seconds. That's it. Okay, a couple more seconds here and done. Feels pretty good, right? Okay, so like I said, if you're not feeling it, add some more time. So the next move we're going to do is also seated, and this is going to look like our right foot ankle over our left knee. And if this doesn't feel super comfortable for you, maybe you just got really tight hips, just straighten out that left leg and bring the foot lower than your knee. You never want to go on your knee, of course. So if this is a comfortable position for you, or if this is a comfortable position for you, either way, you're going to want to flex the foot that's on top back. You don't want to just hang out there. You want to make sure that the toes point back towards the knees. And here we're just going to shift forward. And if you want, you can take your hand and press it either above your knee, not necessarily right on your knee, but near it. It feels so good, and it adds more to that stretch. Oh my gosh, so this is stretching out those glute areas. It feels delicious. It's probably one of my most favorite moves after I hike or mountain bike, or have been sitting for any great length of time, because not only do you feel it here, back here in the glutes, sometimes I can even feel it going into my low back, depending on how tight that is. All right, let's get the next side. Keep them even. So left leg over right knee, or remember, you can modify. So lean forward into it, and then if you need a little bit more, just to tweak and shift that pressure of the stretch. You don't want to feel pain, but you want it to feel good. I'm at that borderline there where it's like, whew, feels good, right? Just leaning forward into it. And remember, flexing the toes back. I was letting it slide, so I'm reminding myself too. Okay, a couple more seconds here. Sometimes it helps if you take a nice deep breath and it feels like it goes and relaxes that area that you're stretching. Okay. So as promised, we're going to do some stretches for the hip flexors too. So we got a couple of booty moves, an engagement and a stretch, and now to stretch the hip flexors. So there's a couple ways to do this. You will need the seat of your chair and maybe hanging onto a wall or your desk. And what I like to do is take a pretty good step forward, and then I'm gonna do this with balance. I put the top of my foot onto my chair seat, like this. So you're gonna be offside and a big step forward, because we're not really trying to stretch the quads. We just wanna bend into it and stretch right here. And what that might entail is you squeezing your booty that we just engaged, because that protects your low back, and it also just kind of shift your hip forward. So the hip we're focusing on stretching, that's where we're gonna shift forward. It's just a tiny little movement, but sometimes that's all it takes is that tweaking. So engage the booty, hang on to a wall or a desk, and then next side. I'm gonna do the same here. Step forward, put your foot on top, and we're gonna bend into it. And I like to make sure that my shoulders are above my hips. I might be stepped off side just a little bit too much. I'm gonna shift here. All right. And then squeezing my booty and engaging that to protect my back, shifting that hip forward and down just a little bit more. This one's looser, I can tell. You notice how one side's always a little bit tighter and one side's a little bit looser, more flexible. That's how I feel here. All right, so let's go ahead and get up. If that seemed hard for you, just getting into that position, it's not comfortable, even if you're hanging on to stuff, I'm gonna show you another way to do it. So I'm gonna face this way here. You take a big step forward, and it's not even a lunge. Yes, it's a big stance, but all we're gonna do is make sure our toes are pointed forward, lift the heel of the back leg up, and press into your toes. And then this is where that booty shift comes in, where you squeeze and then push that hip forward. It's about that little bit of movement of pushing that hip forward that makes the difference. We don't have to go really low, because that's not the point. The point is this big stretch, the big stance to get this stretch. So if you need to hang on to a wall or desk here, that's a good way to do it. So that's two different ways to do that tricky little stretch. Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on your coffee break. I hope you do this often during the day, not necessarily on a Zoom call with that first move, but if you want to get some notifications, go ahead, subscribe. If you like this video, please like it with the click of the little like button, and I will see you next week at the Stretch Cafe.